There is a secret that the most magnetic women in the world know. A secret that has nothing to do with outer beauty, money, or youth. It is something so subtle, so powerful, that if you apply it just once, he will choose you even though he has 1,000 other options. Have you ever wondered why some women have an inexplicable magnetism? Why they manage to make men who previously seemed uninterested suddenly turn toward them like sunflowers turning toward the sun? The answer does not lie in the advice you have always heard. It is not about playing hard to get, playing games, or being perfect. The truth goes much deeper to something far more primal. Walter Riso, one of the most respected psychologists in Latin America, discovered through decades of research something that will completely change how you relate to men. And today, you will learn this secret. But first, I have to tell you something that may sound alarming. Most women are currently doing exactly the opposite of what they should be doing. They try too hard, want to prove their worth, and compete for male attention in a way that actually makes them invisible. Have you ever felt that? That feeling of giving your all, being the perfect woman, available, understanding, and yet he still does not choose you? You still feel like you are not special to him. The pain of not being chosen is one of the deepest wounds a woman can carry. It is as if something inside you whispers that you are not enough, that you need to be prettier, younger, more interesting. But what if I told you that the pain you feel is actually a gateway to your true feminine power? What Walter Riso discovered contradicts everything society has taught us about seduction and relationships. It is so simple that it seems obvious once you understand it, and yet so revolutionary that it can transform your life in a matter of days. Imagine knowing exactly what to do so that every man sees you as the most fascinating woman he has ever met. Not through tricks or manipulation, but genuinely from your innermost sacred core. The woman who masters this secret does not need to compete, to diminish herself, or to try too hard. She simply lives in her feminine fullness, and men are naturally drawn to this energy like to an invisible magnet. Today, you will discover this very secret, understand why it works, and most importantly, learn exactly how to apply it in your life. Because the time has come for you to stop settling for crumbs of attention. It is time for you to be chosen, not as one of many options, but as the choice, the only one. Before I reveal this secret that can completely transform your relationships, I need you to stay with me on this journey. If you have come this far, it means your heart has already recognized the truth in what I am sharing. Click the bell and subscribe to the channel because the next few minutes might be the most important ones in your love life. And in the comments, write just one word: chosen. That word carries a strong intention. When you write chosen, you declare to the universe that you are ready to receive this sacred knowledge. You affirm that you deserve to be the chosen woman, not an option. Write chosen now because it will activate something within you. It will prepare your heart to embrace the transformation that is soon to come. Every word you write is like a seed planted in the soil of your new romantic reality. To uncover this powerful truth, we need to take a journey, a deeper exploration into the masculine mind, into the internal realm where Walter Riso uncovered something few have dared to touch. It's not a surface-level trick. It's not a hack. It's something ancient, rooted in psychology, instinct, and emotional energy. Something that can change how a man sees you forever. Over the course of 40 years, Riso studied thousands of relationships. He observed the bonds between couples who seemed entirely consumed by love, men who walked away from wealth, careers, and comfort for the sake of a woman. And in this massive body of human experience, he noticed a consistent, unexpected pattern, one that flew in the face of everything traditional dating advice had ever suggested. He found that the women who were truly pursued, truly chosen, weren't necessarily the most beautiful, nor the youngest, or the ones with the most impressive careers. There was something intangible about them. Something you couldn't see directly, but you could feel. Something magnetic. Riso called it female magnetic presence. But what does that really mean? And why does it seem so effortless for a few women while others spend their entire lives searching for it? The truth, according to Riso, is buried deep within our biological and emotional blueprint. It's a primal force that activates the moment a man encounters a certain kind of woman. Something ancient stirs inside him, not the part governed by intellect or logic, but the primitive, instinctual part of his brain. And that part senses something sacred, something timeless in her energy. But here's where things start to unravel. The modern world has distorted this dynamic. Women are told to perform, compete, dominate, and constantly prove themselves, often by adopting masculine traits. But in trying to gain love through control and effort, they unknowingly abandon the very energy that makes them most magnetic. Have you ever noticed this pattern? When you try hard to win a man over, when you strive to look flawless, say all the right things, or be endlessly supportive, he drifts away. He becomes distant or distracted. That's not bad luck. That's nature rejecting performance and craving essence. At the core, men don't want to be dazzled. They want to be moved. They don't long for a rival. They're drawn to a counterpart. And that distinction changes everything. According to Riso, there exists a deeply feminine state, a way of being, that serves as a portal. A gateway that connects you to your most authentic self while simultaneously awakening a forgotten desire in him. A longing he wasn't even aware he carried. And here's the most important part. This can't be faked. You can't act your way into it. Just like you can't bottle the scent of a rose and expect it to stir the same response. The soul knows what's real. Think about the women in your life who have that quiet, undeniable presence. They don't need to dominate a room or chase anyone's attention. Their stillness speaks. Their confidence doesn't shout. It simply exists. And in that space of calm power, something extraordinary happens. People gravitate toward them, especially men. So how do you return to that place? How do you embody this energy in a world that teaches you to abandon it? Here's where the paradox begins. In order to be someone a man chooses deeply and wholeheartedly, you must choose yourself first. Not in a self-centered or ego-driven way, but in a sacred, grounded way. You must reconnect with the version of yourself that existed before the heartbreaks, before the compromises, before you began shrinking to fit someone else's mold. There's a version of you that already knows her worth, who doesn't need to chase or prove. A version who understands that softness isn't weakness, it's a superpower. Who sees that love, when it's real, doesn't make you smaller, it expands everything. Walter Riso called this the return to the sacred feminine. And when a woman makes this return, when she fully comes home to herself, something changes. She becomes a lighthouse. Her presence sends out signals. But not every man can handle that light. Men who are insecure or emotionally unavailable will feel overwhelmed. They may walk away, not because you're too much, but because they are too little. The men who stay, the ones who are drawn closer, those are the men who are ready for something real. This shift doesn't mean becoming passive or submissive. In fact, it's the opposite. You become a woman of true strength, not the loud, performative kind, but the kind that radiates from deep inner alignment. You're strong, not in competition with men, but in complete ownership of your space. The woman who understands this secret moves through the world differently. She carries herself with a quiet authority. She speaks with clarity. She loves with presence. And every man who interacts with her senses something unfamiliar, something magnetic and deeply compelling. So what is the secret in one word? Surrender, but not in the way you might imagine. This isn't weakness. This isn't giving up. This is the most courageous act a woman can make, to stop forcing and start trusting. Trusting that who you are is already enough. Trusting that the right love doesn't need to be chased, it recognizes you. To surrender is to let go of the need to control every outcome. It's choosing to believe that your true self is more attractive than any role you could ever play. In practice, this looks very different from what most women are taught. The woman who surrenders stops overgiving. She stops showing up every time he calls. She doesn't fix his problems, rescue him, or mold herself to be what he wants. She simply is. She lets herself receive. She lets space exist. She gives him room to step up or step aside. And through that simple but powerful shift, everything begins to change. Because the man who is ready for her will step forward, fully present, fully committed. Not because she asked, but because her energy called him forward without a single word. That is the magic of true feminine surrender. And once you've tasted it, you'll never go back to chasing, proving, or pleading. You'll understand that what makes you captivating was never outside of you. It was always in the way you came back to yourself. Rather than chasing love or molding herself into someone she's not, she chooses a completely different path. One that many would call radical, but in truth, it's the most natural one of all. She fills her own life with joy, purpose, and passion, whether he's in it or not. She becomes like a beautiful island in the vast ocean of life, self-contained, vibrant, whole. And the moment a man senses that, something shifts. His instincts pick up on it immediately. Deep down, he realizes she doesn't need him, but she's still open to loving him. And that subtle difference, that's what stirs something primal within him. Not the need to dominate or win, but the desire to deserve her. Let me bring this idea to life with a real example. Maria, a woman in her mid-40s, had spent nearly a decade trying to reclaim her ex-husband's love. She gave everything, her time, her energy, her emotions. She was always available, always trying to be the ideal partner. And yet he never fully committed. He drifted in and out, keeping her on an emotional string but never truly choosing her. Then Maria came across the secret we're talking about. And instead of doing more, she chose to do less. She stopped calling. She stopped solving his problems. She stopped waiting. And instead, she began living. She took out her old paintbrushes and returned to art, something she hadn't touched in years. She started taking solo trips, meeting new people, exploring dreams she had long forgotten. Her world expanded, and she filled it with the things that made her feel alive again. And then the unexpected happened. Months later, her ex appeared at her doorstep wanting a second chance. But here's the twist. It wasn't because she fought for his attention. It was because she became the kind of woman who quietly consumed his thoughts. Not for what she did for him, but for who she became without him. Now here's the part most people misunderstand. Letting go isn't a tactic. It's not some clever trick to manipulate a man into wanting you. It's not playing hard to get. It's a deep and honest shift inside of you, a return to your own center. It's the kind of alignment that makes your presence undeniable. Walter Riso breaks this transformation down into 3 core principles, what he calls the foundations of sacred surrender. The first pillar is emotional independence. It doesn't mean you don't crave intimacy or meaningful connection. It means you don't need any one man to complete you. You're not looking for someone to fill a void. You're inviting someone to walk alongside your already full life. The second pillar is intentional presence. When you're with someone, you're fully there. But when you're alone, you're not obsessing over them or letting your thoughts orbit around what they're doing or thinking. Your mind remains rooted in your own rich experience, your work, your passions, your peace. The third pillar is unshakable self-love. This isn't the kind of love that depends on achievements or compliments. It's a love that runs deeper. You value yourself simply because you exist. This kind of self-love radiates from within. It's like a silent fragrance that draws others in without effort. When these three pillars come together, you stop chasing. You start attracting. You don't become a flame trying to be seen. You are the flame. And the right kind of man, he can't look away. But let's be crystal clear. This isn't about manipulation. It's about wholeness. It's about becoming the version of yourself that you were always meant to be. And from that space, you naturally pull in men who are ready. Men who don't feel threatened by your strength, but inspired by it. That's where the real shift happens. The right man for you will recognize your completeness, not try to chip away at it. He won't try to control you. He'll want to grow with you. He won't be scared of your independence. He'll celebrate it. And here's the miracle. When you stop pursuing love and start embodying it, love starts coming to you. When you stop trying to win someone over and instead choose yourself, when you live from a place of deep respect for your own heart, you become magnetic to the ones who truly matter. This change doesn't depend on age, past mistakes, or how long you've been single. Whether you've been through heartbreak, divorce, or years of solitude, this truth applies just the same. Because the secret isn't about your circumstances, it's about your inner transformation. The woman who lives from this surrendered state never begs for love again. She doesn't settle for lukewarm relationships or half-hearted promises. She becomes deliberate in who she allows into her world. Not out of ego, but out of wisdom. She knows her love is precious, and only a man who understands that will ever have the privilege of receiving it. And when such a woman does love, it's intentional. The man lucky enough to hold her heart knows that she chooses him every single day, not out of fear, not out of need, but out of truth. That kind of love, it's unshakable, it lasts. This is the secret, not becoming someone else, but returning to who you are, beneath the roles, beneath the proving, beneath the masks. And once you know it, you can't go back. Once you feel this power, you can't keep settling for less. Because now you see what real connection is, and once your eyes are open, you'll never again pretend you're blind. But here's the honest truth. This change, it's not simple. It's not easy. It requires deep unlearning. You'll have to untangle decades of beliefs that taught you to fight for love, to earn attention, to base your value on male validation. And you'll have to face one of the most uncomfortable truths of all. The only thing keeping you stuck was fear. Fear of being alone. Fear of not being chosen. Fear that if you stopped trying, love would disappear. But that fear, it's a liar. Because the real you, the woman who chooses herself first, is already enough. And the moment you begin trusting that, everything changes. You won't chase love. You'll be love. And from that place, the kind of man who's been searching for someone just like you will finally know where to find you. Picture starting your day with a quiet sense of wholeness, knowing you're already enough, with or without a man beside you. Picture loving with open hands instead of tight grips, letting go of the urge to control and trusting that what's meant for you will stay. Now imagine stepping into a relationship not out of emotional neediness, but from a place of fullness. Because you want to share your abundant life with someone, not because you're missing a piece of yourself. Envision being cherished not for the role you play or the mask you wear, but for the real, unfiltered woman you are. That shift alone can reshape everything around you. At work, you'll stop chasing praise and begin relying on your own inner compass. Among your female friends, the comparisons fade, and genuine support rises in its place. Within yourself, you'll nurture the most important relationship of all, the one that sets the tone for every other connection in your life. And here's something profound that psychologist Walter Riso uncovered in his decades of research. Women who embark on this inner journey don't just attract better romantic partners. They create stronger, more nourishing relationships across the board. Why? Because when you stop depending on a relationship to feel whole, you finally unlock your capacity to love freely. You can give without draining yourself. You can receive without guilt. You can express your feelings without fearing rejection. And you can open your heart without bracing for the worst. A man who partners with a woman like this senses it right away. He doesn't feel the burden of being her emotional lifeline. He doesn't feel boxed in by unrealistic expectations. Instead, he feels something rare, the freedom to just be himself and to love her with ease and authenticity. Now let's be real. This path doesn't make you less loving, it makes you more discerning. You'll notice that the men who once captivated you with charm now appear emotionally stunted. The relationships you once excused or endured will no longer sit right with your soul. That's not you becoming cold or judgmental. That's you waking up. Because as your self-worth rises, so do your standards. You no longer entertain what drains you. You no longer make space for men who can't meet you where you are. Some women worry about what this means. "What if I end up alone?" they whisper. But the truth is, there's a quiet power in solitude when it's chosen from a place of strength. It's far better to stand alone in your wholeness than to be half-loved in someone else's shadow. And the irony? When you're truly at peace with being alone, you rarely stay that way for long. Because your energy becomes magnetic to those who are ready, aware, and aligned. Think about how this changes the way you interact with men. You're no longer performing. You're not hoping to win him over with perfection. You're simply being real. There's no fear of rejection, only curiosity about who he really is. You're not fixated on when he'll text. You're too engaged in your own meaningful life. And that shift, he feels it. The mature man notices when he's around a woman who values herself deeply. It stirs something ancient in him, the drive to rise to her level, to be the kind of man who can stand beside such a woman with honor and devotion. But the best part of all this, it doesn't just change your love life. It changes the energy you bring into every space. It's a quiet revolution. And yes, it's absolutely contagious. When you begin to genuinely honor and care for yourself, something powerful happens. You give other women permission to do the same. When you let go of rivalry and embrace real sisterhood, you raise the energy of every woman around you. Your friends will sense the shift. Your family will feel the calm confidence in your presence. And the men in your life, every one of them, will react to this evolved version of you in ways you may not expect. The man who once grew distant might suddenly want to reconnect. That colleague who's always been courteous might begin to engage on a deeper, more personal level. New faces may appear, drawn to you through synchronicities that feel anything but random. But here's what truly matters. You won't be moved by just any attention. You'll become intentional. You'll choose rather than wait to be chosen. Your time, your heart, and your presence will become things you offer only to those who have earned the right to receive them. That is the real gift of this inner transformation. You will no longer tolerate what drains you. You won't chase love, you'll embody it. You'll stop accepting halfway efforts and instead open yourself only to the kind of love that matches your depth. Because a woman who truly sees herself, who accepts, respects, and chooses herself every day, radiates a presence that can't be faked, replicated, or ignored. A woman like that doesn't find love, she attracts it. The right man will recognize her energy immediately, not because she shouted, but because her silence carried strength. If something inside you stirred while hearing this, if you feel a shift beginning, then pass this message on. Share it with your closest friends, your sisters, your daughters. Because when one woman rises in her power, it creates a ripple that lifts many more. And if you're ready to keep going, if you're ready to explore this new chapter more deeply, then click the next video appearing on your screen now. Join me as we continue walking this path together, because you are worthy of real love. You are worthy of being truly seen. And above all, you are worthy of a love that honors exactly who you are.